Hi everyone. I've had a lot of fun this semester learning more about the culture of Hawaii and the folklore of Hawaii, specifically the Makahiki Festival. I have been able to dive into the culture more. Of course, Hawaii is always one that people think of and think is wonderful for family vacations and wonderful things like that because of its beautiful climate. Um, sorry. So Hawaii is a very large region located in the Pacific Ocean, and although each island can be broken up into different regions of Hawaii, I'm going to focus on Hawaii as a whole. So much of the folklore and legends and myths tie into each island and bring them all together as one big island. Because it is located in the Pacific Ocean, Hawaii is the only state that's not part of the continental U.S. The climate in Hawaii is often called by those who live there or visit the world's ideal. Although it can become quite humid and the trade winds keep the climate very comfortable for those who are there. Hawaii does not recognize the traditional 4 seasons like we do here, or 11 seasons, as some would say, in Utah, where it's decided to be winter again. But they have just 2 seasons that they really focus on, which is their summer season and their winter season. Summer lasts from about May to October, and winter from November to April. In the winter season, it's a little bit cooler and more rain and the precipitation that comes down, which is mostly rain for them. And then the summer is warmer temperatures, and that's when most people want to visit Hawaii and be able to spend time in the ocean and all the beautiful things that Hawaii has to offer. Tradition and family go hand in hand, and it's no exception for the people of Hawaii. Ohana means family in Hawaiian, but their interpretation of family and Ohana is not just their bloodlines or the people that live in the same home as them. Family is very important and it can be included to anyone who comes, and they open their arms and welcome them in as part of their culture if they have questions and if they truly want to become part of this beautiful culture that they have. This shows how deeply rooted in family traditions and caring for one another, which is something that Hawaiians take pride in. There's a sense of community that can be felt when visiting the island, and this is why Hawaii can be seen as a paradise to so many who visit. Now transitioning into specifically the Makahiki Festival that I've spent most of my time on learning this semester. So in order to understand the Makahiki Festival, you have to know who the god Lono is. Knowing who the god Ku is, I hope I'm saying that right, it's Ku, I don't know how else you could say it, but knowing who the gods Lono and Ku are very important. So Ku is the god of war, and but Lono is who they celebrate in the Makahiki Festival. He is the god of peace and the god of replenishing. During the Makahiki Festival, the games that are held, they are for the islanders to set aside the god Ku, the god of war, and honor the god Lono. It is time for regrowth and regeneration of life, for procreation, for their community to continue to grow and build. Now, the Makahiki Festival has been going on for hundreds of years. There was nowhere in my research that it had a specific date of when it started, but we know it started before the 1950s because there are articles and different things in the Polynesian Culture Center that's in Hawaii that talk about the rebirth of the Makahiki Festival, which started in the early 1900s. The Polynesian Culture Center was opened on October 12th, 1963. And when this happened, things became a lot more theatrical in Hawaii, specifically around this Makahiki Festival. And it turned into more of a production for the islanders to show those who came and visit, rather than the spiritual and religious kind of festival that it was before this rebirth in the early 1900s. So the Makahiki Festival is over 4 lunar months, which is quite a long time. It's not just strictly 1 month at a time. They go by the calendar of the moon, which is from one new moon to the next, which is around 29 days. The festival starts at the beginning of the harvest, when that's time in Hawaii, which is either in October or November, and then would last until February or March, depending on when it started. With the festival being so long, it was held in 3 different phases. The first stage was that of a spiritual cleansing, where there would be an end to any wars that were happening, and the people would live in would live in peace with feasting and games. The second phase was when the dancing would start, and the most famous of that being the hula, which is still done today. The third phase was when offerings would be given to the god Lono in order to ensure the good crop for the coming year. Health and fitness were and still a focal point for this festival, and they show that today if you go down and visit at this time, that they really focus on being physically fit, being able to be strong, to compete in the games that happen during the Makahiki festival. They've tried now to keep the festival quite a bit the same as it was before, but obviously with new technology and new theatrics that have come out, it has changed quite a bit. So I apologize for the quality of these pictures. They're not the greatest, but they're the ones that I could find, the earliest documented Makahiki festivals. On the left, we have a bunch of the islanders that are honoring the god Lono at this time, and they're bringing offerings to him, which was part of that first stage when it's the rebirth and the cleansing. And then the second stage is shown on the right over here. It's a group of men that are boxing. So all the islanders would come, didn't matter which island they were from, they would all gather on one island where they would hold these games. And the men would compete in physical things like boxing and things similar to tug of war now and javelin throwing. And the women would prepare food and baskets to show off their abilities. Now, the festival, as I've said, has become a little more theatrical and is more for people who come and visit to show their culture and their love of their culture that they have. We see the girls who are hula dancing in their traditional attire, and in the middle picture that's kind of faded back, the men aren't boxing, but this is a form of arm wrestling that they hold at the Makahiki festival. This top picture of the 2 men that are carrying leaves, they're doing coconut harvest to see how much food that they can bring back. And I have some videos that I'll share a little bit later that show there's a whole coconut harvesting thing that the guys go through. They climb the trees, they get the coconuts, they bring the leaves back, because they use everything that they possibly can from their crops. They don't waste anything. So these videos that I have, that I will end my presentation with, are of the chief now. They call him Chief Tahiti, and if you go down to Polynesian Center now, you'll see usually him. He acts as Lono for the Makahiki festival, and he shows 2 different ways to husk a coconut and how quickly they can do it, and they take pride in this. So
I'm going to show you how to husk the coconut really quick using the chopstick. I'm going to show you how to do it with my teeth. All kinds of ways to open the coconut. No need a can opener. We're going to open it with my teeth and a stick. Check it out, right here. Right here, thumbs up. How fast is that? Huh? Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's do it with the teeth. Cut that. Here's the coconut. Look at this right here. Ta-da! Choo!
And I thought it would be fun to share that video. That is something they did do in the Makahiki Festival hundreds of years ago. There would be coconut husking contests where the men would see how many coconuts they could husk in a certain amount of time, and then they would use those coconuts in their feasts later. This other video is just one of the tree climbing that I also thought was fun to share with how they would get the coconuts.
Are you having a good time? Are you happy? Do you want more? Do you want more? Say some more. We got some more. Do you want to see the tree climbing? You want to see the tree climbing? There's a sign on the tree that says, please do not climb the tree. Do you want to see it anyways? Don't tell anybody. Raise your hand if you really want to see it. That's not enough. I need 2 more people. Raise your hands. That's too many. Put your hands together. Come on, put your hands together. Put your hands together. And let's pray for the climber. We have a climber getting ready. The young man, knowing the danger of this particular task that he's going to take on. Come on, put your hands together. Come on. You up? You like them? Come on. Push up, stop, push up. Push it good. Everybody scream. Help yourself. You want him to jump to the next tree? And the next one, and then to the hospital? Everybody say, jump!
You serious?
Watch this. Yeah! Yeah! Jump!
Now, as you can see, as I've said a couple times now, the festival is something that's been passed down and cherished by so many, although the events that take place now are more of a way to preserve their culture and be exciting for those who come visit, instead of how it was hundreds of years ago when this festival was to prepare for their next crop and to bring in the harvest together and celebrate their gods and what they had received. It's still something that's important to them. It's still something that they hold dear. These revivals show that they care about their culture and that they want to keep that alive. According to Phillips, that one of the articles that I read said these revivals have been taking place since the early 1900s, and having this festival take place with the traditional games and dancing have a significant impact on the natives and the folk traditions that are important to them. Being able to perform at the festivals for the tourists who come to visit during the festival activities helps to keep their culture of their ancestors alive. It's been really fun researching this and learning more about these folk traditions and of the people of Hawaii, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the presentation.